Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening from people around the world. So first and foremost, I think it's an interesting one for me. I'm going to take this in a bit of a different angle when we talk about automation for next generation ports. The port industry is a very old one. We're all aware of that, right? So 65 years ago, containerization started, and many of the processes since that time have remained unchanged. So I think for me, one of the most important elements in the port industry, regardless of all the automation stuff that's going on, which is fantastic and will continue to transition the industry, is our people. Our people are our biggest asset. They're the differentiator between the different ports around the world at the moment. And I wanted to talk about how we can look at some of the processes that those people do today differently to how they've always done them in the past. So a little bit around PTP. So PTP is a transshipment hub located in Malaysia. We have 5 kilometres of quay line. We have a workforce around 4,500 people, 66 quay cranes, 172 RTGs. I think we have a bit more prime movers now, nearly 500 prime movers. It's a large facility. We do around 200,000 TEU per week. Is the target for the team here, and we have a very competent team, very good team, and they do a great job. So one of the areas I wanted to touch on first was lashing. So lashing is something that has remained unchanged in an industry for the past 65 years, right? Even in the automated terminals today, we still need to lash vessels. We need to secure the vessels down, more important now than ever, and that process is very manual in the way it's done. So one of the things we did here is we partnered with our vendor, Narvis in this case, to look at if we can do this in a different way, if we can automate and optimize the process. So what we've developed with Narvis is a lashing application, and the old process would be with lashing is you'd go on board the vessel and you'd get your piece of paper and see the decks you needed to lash and unlash. And you do that, then you take that piece of paper to the chief officer, you get that signed off by deck, and then you do that process for the whole vessel. When you work on a small vessels, that's difficult. When you work on vessels that are 400 meters long, that's a lot of walking around, very inefficient. You don't have an understanding of how the vessel, where the status of the vessel is, what decks are lashed, what decks are unlashed, where you can start discharging, etc. So we've worked with Narvis and they've done a great job in developing this product. We're currently rolling it out to the business here, which gives a bit of an overview over the terminal. So what happens is, on the left-hand side, you'll see the vessels that have come alongside, and it'll show how many bars need to be unlashed, how many bars have been lashed or unlashed, we have an application for the crew and for the lashing team, and they'll go through deck by deck, and as they unlash the deck, we get a view of that in our control room. And as the decks are loaded, they get a job list of what they've got to lash up, and they lash those decks up. So it gives the lashing teams an overview of what they've got to do per vessel or per terminal, and it gives the people inside an understanding of where we are in relation to the lashing process. So it moves what has been a paper-based system for many years into a digital platform, which makes it more efficient for the staff and easier for them, and gives us a much better oversight to be more efficient and effective. So one of the other areas that we work on here in PTP is safety. Safety is a big aspect for us, as it is with any port. And obviously there's many projects and systems that we are working here in PTP that we believe will give us a commercial edge, a commercial advantage. As for pinning and lashing, I really hope some of these applications and products go global, because they really do make the business safer. And in the port industry, there is no competition when it comes to safety. We all want our workforce to come to work and leave and go home to their families each and every day. So what we've done again with Narvis as a vendor is that we've developed an application that enables the pinning process to be done well away from the working vessel. So in the past, you would have a truck would come up under a vessel to load a container, and the pinning guys would call to the crane officer or the hatch clerk and say, does this need fittings or not? And they would load it. The problem with that process is it means that there's people, pedestrians with traffic, it means that there's pedestrians under suspended loads or near suspended loads, and it also slows down traffic in a congested area. So with Narvis, we worked on this application. The clerk has a tablet. They type in the box number. It tells that clerk what vessel that box is for, what fit-ins it needs, whether it's above deck, below deck, or no fit-ins at all. It reduces the amount of labour we need to do the pinning process. And most importantly, it removes the pinning process away from the high traffic areas and away from the suspended loads. So it really does make the business safer, and I'd encourage anyone to have a look at this to ensure that we keep our workforce in a much better, safe environment. So as you can see here, also the benefit is in the past you'd have the 3 cranes on a vessel and you'd have 1 or 2 pinmen per crane. Under this process, you set up a pinning station before the vessel and after the vessel, or somewhere in the yard if you like, it doesn't matter, away from where the congestion is, and you flow that truck through. It knows what fittings it needs and it flows under the crane, and we see a much better outcome using less people to achieve the same objective. So live analytics for an industry that's so old, 65 years of containerization. It's amazing how many ports I visit around the world that still use manual documentation or shift reports at the end of the shift. So we worked to have live reporting, live analytics of all our operation here at the terminal. So it's important. This is important not only to identify how many boxes you've done live, but most importantly to identify your congestion, your waste buckets, and your opportunity. So there's no good at the end of a shift or the end of a week to say we lost this opportunity, we had this problem. Why don't you identify it live? So we've worked with Narvis on this, and it now runs our entire operation, and it's a good product, and it's automating and optimizing a very old issue. So one of the other interesting areas that we've worked on is berth planning. So PTP services around 100 vessels a week. So we have vessels from short steam from Singapore, 6 hours away, to 4 days away, to many weeks away. As each of those vessels arrive at the terminal at different times, we have to reallocate this entire jigsaw puzzle to assign cranes. And the interesting thing is, we have multiple customers out there that need a view of this. It's important for them to know when their ships are coming in, when their ships are going out, and what the status is, how many cranes are working on them, what their productivity is. And for me, I'm very transparent about how the operation goes. There's no good hiding where we're at. We deliver transparency to our customers. We deliver real-time data to try and get the vessel off the berth as quickly as we can, and to ensure that that asset is utilised as much as possible on the water, which is where it makes the shipping lines the money, where it moves the customer's boxes most effectively. So in the past, you would have a berth plan on a piece of paper. You would update that every couple of hours. You would email that or fax it to your customers. And now what we've done in here is we have a solution whereby we have an online platform where all our customers log in and see the vessels live and can see how their vessel is, any updates to the arrival time or departure time. And most importantly, we use artificial intelligence. So we work with PortChain on this product, and we use AI to allocate around 100 vessel or port calls in around 30 seconds. And then the great berthing team here in PTP, they then fine tune that to optimize that to ensure we get the best productivity and get that vessel out in the quickest possible time frame. So I think it's interesting that we talk about, as I said, all the technology in the equipment space, but we must never forget the most important element of our business is our people, and they're the ones that add the real value. We need to work with them and our vendors to find the best products on the market, and if they don't exist, go and build them. It's a very old industry. There is a lot of manual processes out there, even in 2021. And we have a lot of opportunity to make the terminals safer, more efficient, more effective, and more productive, both for our shareholders, for our workforce, and most importantly for our customers. So thank you very much for your time today. I do encourage you to have a look at your operations around the world and look at how you can improve safety for your workforce, and have a look at some of these tools that we've shared with you today. Thank you very much.